Ruben here from the Ruby Tuesday, and today we're scrubbing down Amazon's Prime's latest comedy drama, Clean Slate, to see if it shines or if it is indeed in need of a good rinse. This series, co-created by Laverne Cox, George Wallace, and Dan Ewan, is one of the final projects from the legendary Norman Lear, and you can feel his influence woven throughout the show. With Lear's history of blending social commentary with humor in series like All in the Family, The Jeffersons, Good Times, Clean Slate follows in those footsteps, tackling race, gender identity, generational divides, and family dynamics, all while trying to keep laughs rolling. So what's the story? The series follows Harry, played by George Wallace, an old-school grump set in his ways. He's a car wash owner in Alabama whose world is flipped upside down when his estranged child, Desiree, played by Laverne Cox, returns after 17 years. Not as the son Harry remembers, but as a trans woman looking to reconnect. What follows is a heartfelt and often humorous journey of acceptance, miscommunication, and clashing worldwide views as father and daughter navigate their new reality. Think of it as Transparent meets One Day at a Time with a splash of Schitt's Creek. But instead of a small-town motel, we've got a southern car wash and some old-school dad humor thrown in there for good measure, which I always love. So the comedy, does it land? The comedy in Clean Slate is, well, it depends on your perspective, I guess. If you love classic Norman Lear-style sitcoms that use humor as a tool to explore societal issues, then you'll find a lot to appreciate here. George Wallace's delivery is effortless, embodying the old-school grumpy dad who says what's on his mind, often without realizing how outdated or inappropriate it might be. He's got that Sanford and Son energy mixed with the clueless but lovable dad vibes from Blackish or Modern Family. That being said, a lot of the humor is culture specific or LGBTQ plus minus specific. If you're familiar with black comedy greats like Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy, you'll pick up on the cadence and delivery of Wallace's performance. Meanwhile, Cox's wit and sass are more in line with modern queer comedy, reminiscent of Poe's or Will and Grace's sharp, self-aware, and often biting comments or comedy. This means that while some moments will have you genuinely laughing out loud, others might fly straight over your head, if you're not in tune with the references, I guess. It's not The Office's universal cringy comedy, nor is it a laugh-a-minute absurdity like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Instead, Clean Slate feels like a conversation happening within a very specific cultural space, which is great for representation, but might limit its broader appeal. So drama. The emotional punch at the heart of Clean Slate is the father-daughter relationship, and this is where the show really shines. Wallace's Harry isn't a villain, he's just a man stuck in his ways. Much like Archie Bunker in All in the Family, he's not outright hateful, but he struggles with unlearning deeply ingrained beliefs. He represents a generation that often equates ignorance with normality, and the show explores his growth in a way that's both frustrating and endearing. Laverne Cox, meanwhile, delivers a performance filled with warmth, confidence, and, I guess, just the right amount of vulnerability. Desiree's return isn't just about her transition, it's about reconnecting with the father who, I guess, never really saw who she truly was. That's a universal story, whether you're trans, queer, estranged from your family, or simply trying to get your parents to understand who you are. If you've ever watched Pose and cried your eyes out, you'll find some of that emotional weight here. However, unlike Pose, which leans into tragedy, Clean Slate balances the drama with lighter moments, making it less emotionally draining, but still impactful at times. But it doesn't always land on those points. Social issues. Does it say something new? We've seen plenty of LGBTQ plus representation in TV over the past decade. Orange is the New Black, I thought was particularly great, Transparent, Heartstopper, Sex Education, which is excellent. But Clean Slate is unique because it tackles trans identity through the lens of black fatherhood in Southern America. This is a rarely explored intersection, and it's one of the show's biggest strengths, I think. The conversation between Harry and Desiree aren't just about gender, they're about tradition, masculinity, religion, and generational trauma. However, while Clean Slate does a solid job at addressing these themes, It sometimes plays things a little too safe. There are moments where you expect the show to dig deeper, but instead it moves on with another joke or a little lighter subplot. If you think back to Marvel when they go really dark, they often will do something dark and then bring about a levity moment next, almost undoing that kind of pivotal moment. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It makes the show more accessible, but for viewers looking for hard-hitting, in-depth discussions on trans issues and black masculinity, you might find it a bit surface level. When talking about the filming and style, is it sitcom or dramedy? Visually, Clean Slate leans more towards traditional sitcom aesthetics, with warm lighting, close-knit sets, and a focus on character interactions over flashy cinematography. Unlike the stylized neon-drenched world of Pose or the traumatic realism of Transparent, this show keeps things simple, functional, and familiar, which works well for what it is. The dialogue is sharp and fast and witty, much like Lear's classic shows. The best moments come from Desiree and Harry's back-and-forth banter, with Cox's sass perfectly clashing against Wallace's old-school stubbornness. If you enjoy quick, clever dialogue exchanges like those in The Marvelous Miss Maisel or Veep, you'll appreciate what Clean Slate has to offer here. So who's it for? If you enjoy comedy dramas that balance social issues with humor, like Blackish, One Day at a Time, or Schitt's Creek, this might be for you. Stories about family, reconciliation, and generational clashes like This Is Us, which made me cry, I think, within the first 2 episodes, and Parenthood, this might be for you. Shows that explore LGBTQ+ identity within cultural lenses, like Pose, Transparent, Orange is the New Black, then this probably is for you. However, if you prefer broad universal comedy that doesn't rely on specific cultural references like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or The Office or Friends, or deep hard-hitting drama without comedic relief like Euphoria, then this might not be your cup of tea. My final verdict is 3 out of 5 Nicolas Cages.
You got one.
Clean Slate is a solid, heartfelt comedy drama with strong performances and an important message. It doesn't break new ground in terms of storytelling, but it brings a fresh perspective on an old formula. While some of the comedy might feel too specific for a broad audience, and the show occasionally shies away from deeper discussions, it's a warm, well-acted, and culturally significant watch. Would I watch it again? Maybe. Would I recommend it? Absolutely, but with the right expectations. Let me know in the comments below, what did you think about Clean Slate? And until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.